I don't know how to start this video. I am being canceled. I needed to come on here and talk to y'all about it. Every time I sat down to film it, I couldn't press record, or I had too many jump cuts because I had to cut out my sobbing. I'm sorry that you are offended. All I want to do is educate people, and some of you you don't want to be educated, and this is supposed to be an apology. Cut that out. Please, cut it out when you edit it. I'll do better. I think my future actions will prove that I am worthy of the millions of followers I have here. I'm sorry that you feel offended by some things that I do. That's a dumb joke, I know, sorry. Obviously, I am not being canceled that I know of. However, this is a very weird story involving me, my content, and a school board in Alaska, which is nowhere near where I live. Let's talk about it. So this is a weird story, and it originally came to my attention when one of you tweeted me this article, which has my face plastered front and center and has a title that says, Fairbanks teachers want 12-year-olds exposed to explicit sex ed videos. So my original thought was, okay, they're just using a picture of me in their article. You know, maybe I look like a teacher or something. I didn't even think anything of it. However, when I started looking through the article, I realized that at some point, a school board in Alaska had been voting about the fact that my YouTube videos were included as supplemental sex ed in their sex ed curriculum. So I took issue with this article after I started reading it because, again, with my face front and center and that title, the first paragraph says, with school board elections now behind them, the left-leaning majority of the Fairbanks North Star School Board heard a request from the school district to approve highly explicit sex education videos and graphic materials for grades 6 to 12. And I was like, you talking about me? A highly explicit? I'm sorry, what? What are you referencing? So apparently it had been brought to the school board by the school district to include some of my videos as supplemental sex education, which I was not aware of. But that representation with my content being centered makes it seem like I'm making explicit content, which is not the case. I would not be able to do that on YouTube. They are really sensitive about that kind of thing. The article goes on to say that most of the board members wanted them to re-review the material and just see if they even thought it was worth the school board looking at, because apparently it was so horrible. Requested by teachers, the materials tell students as young as 12 how to have sex or stimulate their partner. Not my videos. I don't know what they're talking about there, but I did not make any videos about that. It's making it seem like that's what I create, and it's not. And it gives them advice on how to select appropriate contraceptives, including the morning after pill, which can cause early abortions. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there that if we're going to include such a factually inaccurate statement, that maybe these aren't the people who should be voting on what sex ed to include. The morning after pill does not cause abortion. The definition of abortion is termination of a pregnancy. A pregnancy cannot be terminated until it exists and is diagnosable. Until you can have a positive pregnancy test, you are not pregnant, and therefore you cannot terminate a pregnancy. Morning after pill, if taken after a positive pregnancy test, will not end the pregnancy. It's not how it works. The morning after pill cannot cause early abortions, period. Morning after pill works by preventing ovulation. There are some people who think that based on limited data, it might decrease the chances of implantation if there is a fertilized embryo. Even that is a highly contested idea. The International Consortium on Emergency Contraception has really good information that goes through all of the data on this, and the primary mechanism of action of Plan B is prevention of ovulation. They go on to state that they do not believe, based on any literature that they reviewed, that there's any good evidence that it actually lowers the chances of implantation. So there are studies out there that have said, well, we think maybe it does, but this is incredibly inconclusive and debatable, regardless of if it does that or not. And if you would not want to use it because of that, that's totally fine. Presenting it as abortifacient, as in causing abortions, is wrong. This is not the definition of abortion, and presenting it as that is inaccurate. And this is why you should have accurate information and sex ed, because you should be able to make the most informed decision for yourself. And that is, okay, I don't believe life begins at conception. I believe life begins sometime after that. So I'm fine with plan B. I believe that life begins at conception, so I'm not fine with plan B. However, again, there's not really very good evidence that it's very likely to interfere with implantation anyway. Not to mention the fact that this doesn't even take into account the fact that when you are not on any form of contraception, you're having sex with someone who can get you pregnant, the chances of a fertilized embryo being there and not implanting is higher than if you take something that primarily works by preventing ovulation, meaning you're more likely to have a fertilized embryo that doesn't implant when you're on no form of contraception than you are to have one that doesn't implant when you take plan B, because it's primarily working by preventing the ovulation and fertilization altogether. So even if that's a secondary effect, the result is still less lost embryos that are fertilized if that's something that's important to you. So these are all nuanced things, and that's why I hate when people present it as like facts like that, but calling it abortifacient is incorrect. It's factually wrong. So if we are that lacking in our understanding of sex ed and the way that contraceptives work, including emergency contraception like the Plan B pill, which is extremely safe, over the counter, and not an abortion pill, perhaps you aren't the people who should be deciding what sex ed you include in your school district's curriculum. They go on to repeat this sentiment. Other materials introduce students to a host of contraceptives, including Plan B, which can kill a newly conceived baby at the earliest stages of development. No, it cannot. It is levonorgestrel. This is a progestin. Progestational, will not harm a pregnancy. An embryo, whether it has implanted or not, is not a baby. You can call it a baby. Sometimes I called my embryo or my fetus a baby, and that's fine. But an embryo, especially prior to implantation, is not a baby. It is an embryo. Plan B does not kill a baby. This is not true. Or an embryo, neither one. Okay, and then it goes on to talk a little bit about my specific videos, which again, I take issue with the first part of this, even though I guess were not referencing my videos, because they front and centered me on their news article. It goes on to say that a video for middle schoolers and high schoolers features OBGYN Danielle Jones. First off, it's Dr. Danielle Jones. Please get it right, you sexist assholes. States that 50% of people have a vagina, which is true. Jones' video spotlights a young teen showing off her stained underwear and talking about the fact that vaginal discharge is normal, which it is. At one point, Jones talks about what can happen when inserting a toy or penis into the vagina. I'm sorry, what? Are you upset that I talked about queefing? This is a completely normal physiologic process. The vagina is a blind pouch, meaning it comes to an end. So anytime air gets trapped in there from activity or insertion of a toy or a penis or anything, it has to come out. And the only way for it to come out is to come back out of the vaginal opening. You might hear an audible noise of air escaping from the vagina. This is not worrisome. It is totally normal, and you should be empowered to just laugh it off, or even not laugh it off and just move on with your life. Nothing to worry about. That's what you took issue with? You took issue with queefing? Oh my God. This is insane. Other videos by Jones, which are not part of the Fairbanks curriculum, blast Texas's new pro-life law banning abortion once a heartbeat is detected. Inaccurate. I criticize it rightfully for being anti-science and anti-healthcare, with very valid points presented as an expert practicing medicine in the state where it was enacted. Other videos celebrate transgenderism and the Black Lives Matter movement. What kind of representation is this? Okay, my Black Lives Matter video talks about racism and medicine. That is something we need to talk about. I support Black Lives Matter and I celebrate their movement, but that's not what the video is about. My video about the science behind being transgender and how to be a supportive healthcare provider to people who are trans, that video is not a celebration that trans people exist. I am happy that they exist and we should protect them, and people aren't doing a great job of that. But that video is about the science behind why being an inclusive healthcare provider is important and why science does not invalidate a trans person's existence. This is a gross misrepresentation of what I make. Honestly, it really pisses me off that Alaska Watchman published this completely inaccurate article. It goes on to talk about another video that talks about different types of contraceptives. I don't think that's even my video. It would be nice if they would specify that they have moved on from talking about my content to talking about somebody else's. And then it says a separate video for high schoolers attempts to convince teens that Plan B or the morning after pill does not cause abortions. This is also not my video, but we're not convincing people. We're telling them the facts. Alaska Watchman, something you could use in your reporting. According to the product label attached to Plan B, it can in fact serve as an abortifacient by preventing attachment of a fertilized egg to the uterus or womb. Since a, quote, fertilized egg is in fact the earliest stage of human life, Plan B can kill this life by blocking access to the womb, which is necessary for nutrition and continued development. Listen. Once again, as I stated earlier, abortion has a definition. This is a legal definition. This is a medical definition. Abortion is defined as ending a pregnancy. If there is no pregnancy, you cannot have an abortion. If you take Plan B while you are pregnant, it will not end the pregnancy. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Please learn how to present facts in your reporting. So, to Joel Davidson, I'm happy to be your medical review on articles like this. It would also be really cool if you didn't misrepresent what I do, what I put my free time into creating as a source of education for people who need it and don't have access to it, thanks to people like you, as sexually explicit when it's not. Of note, Joel Davidson is, unshockingly, a white cis dude, has no need for birth control himself, So after I found that article, someone else sent me another one, which is from Daily News Miner Fairbanks, which I'm under the impression that this is a more center news place, but I don't know for sure. I'm not familiar with Alaskan journalism. I'm sorry. They also have a title that is a little bit inaccurate. School district puts racy sex ed materials on hold for now, and it's written by Amanda Bowman. This is all of the article. I'm going to read you the whole thing that is available without paying. OBGYN Danielle Jones, again, Dr. Danielle Jones, or Danielle Jones MD. If you are quoting me as a physician, include my credentials. This is sexist, and I know there's going to be people who disagree in the comments, but there are studies on this. Women who are doctors are far less likely to be addressed by their title than their male counterparts. This is unacceptable when you write an article. Use somebody's title. I worked my ass off to be a doctor. I deserve to be addressed as a doctor, particularly if you're going to put racy sex ed in the title and use only my information and not even state that I am a board certified physician in the field that I am discussing, and you are not. OBGYN Dr. Danielle Jones explains 5 strange things your vagina does that are normal in a YouTube video. In another YouTube video, the pros and cons of contraception methods for adolescents are discussed. For the full story, select an option below. Thanks for reading. Please log in, sign up, or purchase a subscription to continue reading. Did you just put an inflammatory and inaccurate title with information only about me to try to sell subscriptions to your stupid news site? Come on. This isn't even about me. The screenshot's not about me. And all the text in the article is me, including a title that makes it seem like I make racy sex ed. What is wrong with you people? This is so frustrating. I make educational and entertaining content that is informative and needed on subjects that are often taboo and definitely under-taught in schools. You people are a problem and you need to fix this. Anyway, I had read these articles. I tweeted at people. None of these authors and none of the news sites got back to me. They just wanted to use inflammatory titles as clickbait and then misrepresent me and what I do in the process, which is why I use a clickbait title in this video. So I'm just testing out their methods. It was an experiment. But after that, a follower named James Hood tweeted at me and said, I'm watching the school board discuss this in their meeting, and gave me timestamps. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm gonna go see what the school board had to say in their board meeting about my content, and I'm gonna go read the comments on the school board's live stream and respond to some of them. Editing note, this video is getting way too long, and also I need to commit to actually using an editor because this is so much work. Anyway, the video is getting way too long. I'm going to split the next part into a video for Thursday where I will actually react and respond to what the school board says in their meeting. And as a parent, I am horrified. I cannot believe that this is how our school board meetings go and how sex education is decided in our schools. It's horrifying. So please come back and watch that, and like this video and subscribe if you learned something or you just want to support me. Thank you for being here today. If you'd like to subscribe, we would love to have you. Follow me on Twitter. I would really like you to do that. I will see you next Monday.